Welcome to the QIC-EY Now. No opportunity wasted for making moments matter for children and youth. We are exploring the competency Understand Child and Adolescent Development, and we're starting right now. Seeing children and youth's behavior and actions in the context of child and adolescent development is key to meeting their needs. When child welfare professionals tailor their approaches using this lens, they can respond in ways that validate and support children and youth at each life stage. But what does this really mean? Let's hear an example from Vice President for the Academy, Spalding for Children, Melinda Liss.
My name is Melinda Liss, and I am the Vice President of the Academy at Spalding for Children. And I've worked in the child welfare field for about 30 years. In addition to that, I have adopted 3 children. And I think the ages and stages was something, of course, I had always learned in child welfare. And it was something we talked a lot about even in my beginning studies. But I don't think it really hit home with me until I was raising my youngest son. He was very large physically. He presented a lot older, if you looked at him, than his actual chronological age. However, socially and emotionally, he was much younger than his chronological age. And as a result, he would go to school, and there would be an expectation that he would act his age or even older, since he presented to look physically older. But then he would end up doing something in the classroom that was more akin to his social or emotional age and inevitably get into trouble. I remember distinctly having him on a baseball team with kids that were his chronological age, because that's the only option you really have. And all the kids were expected to sit quietly in the dugout waiting for their time to pitch. For the other kids on the team, this was an appropriate expectation, but for my son, it just wasn't possible. We tried to talk to the coach about the need to recognize our son as being younger, socially and emotionally, but the coach just couldn't do it. He looked at him and he could only see his physical presence, which made him think of an older child.
Now that we've heard an example, let's wrap this up with some things you can do to understand child and adolescent development right now. Understand the different domains of child and adolescent development. Apply this understanding to develop individualized approaches to your engagement with children and youth on your caseload. Recognize the impact trauma has on child and adolescent development. Doing this can help us meet individual children and youth where they're at and assist us in setting realistic expectations, resolving conflict, and having developmentally appropriate engagement. Be flexible in working with children and youth based on their development. You may need to adapt your approach as children and youth can experience developmental transitions, developmental progress, and developmental setbacks. Now is the time to better understand child and adolescent development and to making moments matter for children and youth. The QIC-EY is 100% funded by the Administration for Children and Families of the United States Department of Health and Human Services.